So they wanted to know, where was Yahushua born? Was he born in the house, or was he born in a manger? So that was the question that was posed to me with those two scriptures. Now, to me, that's, the scriptures, that's real easy for me to answer. But it was obvious that they wasn't too sure. All right, and the only way you get the understanding of that is you have to read the scriptures. That's one thing about the Bible. You have to read the Bible. You have to read it. So it's always best to read the entirety. Because there's one thing you should know, and you write this down too. The Bible changed my life. Changed my life, then it actually changed my family's life. And this is the reason why you should write the Bible. This is, okay? When you read the Bible, you should try to find out what is known, pose a question, who am I? Write that down, who am I? That's when I started reading the Bible, I wanted to find out, who am I? I started reading the Bible. The next thing I wanted to know, where am I from? These are questions I started posing to myself, and I wanted to find out in the Bible. Who am I was the first question I wanted to know from the Bible. Where am I from was the second question. Then the third one, I want to know, what is my purpose? What am I here for? What's my purpose? That's what made me start reading the Bible. And the fourth question I asked myself, what is my future? That's what you should be asking yourself when you read this Bible. Those things you should want to know when you read this Bible. What is my future? Make sense? When I began to read the Bible and understand it, I was able to answer all these questions, and it began to change my life and everybody that was close around me. So those same questions you should be posing yourself. Sister, you should be trying to find out all these questions you should find out for yourself from the Bible. Okay? All right, now, let's try to find out. Let's go and find out, put it that way, through the scriptures, right? When and where Yahushua was born. Was he born in the house? Because that Matthew 10:11, they said that he was born in the house. All right? So they want to know whether he's born in the house or was he born outside in a manger. So we're going to try to find out that today. We're going to find out today. So the only way we can find out, we got to read the chapters. All right, so we're going to start in the book of Luke, the 2nd chapter. Okay, book of Luke, the 2nd chapter. And we're going to start from the beginning because you got to read. You have to read. And as we're going along, if you're not sure, just raise your hand. If you're not sure about something, raise your hand. Something you don't understand, okay? But we'll explain it to the best of my ability, in the spirit of Yahushua, what the scripture is saying. Okay, let's start with the book of Luke, the 2nd chapter. We're going to break everything down from the first, starting with the first verse. Okay.
Luke chapter 2, verse 1. And it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus.
All right, underline the word decree. And you can write this on a piece of paper. Decree is basically a law. Okay? And it says it was from Caesar Augustus. Okay, now when you go into history a little bit, you find out that you can write this down as well. Caesar Augustus was actually the first emperor of the Roman Empire. That's who Caesar Augustus was, the first emperor. And according to outside sources, the Roman Empire started on September 2nd, 31 BC. That's when the Roman Empire started. Now, before that, before it was 31 BC when the Roman Empire started, when it came into being what is known as a world power, empire. And what nation they took down to become an empire? Anybody know?
Greeks.
The Greeks. Okay, but that didn't happen until they didn't come into power, full power, until 31 BC. Before that, there was just a monarchy. All right, but they weren't an empire yet. So it says Caesar Augustus, he was the first empire. Now, you got to remember the Roman Empire, the United States is just like the Roman Empire. You got a Senate, all right? The Romans had a Senate back then, and what they did, they voted in Caesar Augustus to be what is known as the ruler of that time. He wasn't the king, all right, he wasn't the king, but he was the first emperor. Okay? Just like the United States have a Senate. We have a Senate, right? And they vote people in. Same thing they did with Caesar Augustus. Okay? And actually, Caesar's not his first name. It's Augustus. Caesar's just a family name that he used. Okay? So read that scripture again.
Luke chapter 2, verse 1. And it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed.
All right, so a law came from this emperor, Caesar Augustus, who was brought in by the Senate, right? That all the world, that world is not talking about everybody. That's talking about the Roman Empire. Because he was the emperor of the Roman Empire. Now everybody got phones. Pull out your phones. If everybody got a phone, pull out your phone for a second and just Google Roman Empire. If you can. I want you to get a visual. Because in that world is not talking about everybody on the earth. Now I'm going to do the same thing. Let's type in Roman Empire. And then click on images. Okay, if you can do it, if you can get it. By a show of hands, if you got it, raise your hand if you got it. Okay, good sister. All right, sisters. All right, click on images. Okay. All right. And you can just choose any of those images and just take a visual of what the Roman Empire. That's not the whole earth, is it?
No.
It's just a certain particular area that the Romans ruled. Okay, you see part of that is part of the top of Africa is there. The northern part of Africa, they rule part of that. They rule all the Italy, see Italy? Mm-hmm. They ruled that area. All the Mediterranean seas. Spain to the left.
Spain. Mm-hmm.
Spain to the left. All right. And this that was the Roman Empire at that time. Okay, so do you see United States in there?
Nope.
Do you see Australia in there?
Nope.
Do you see Canada?
Nope.
You see Mexico? What about the Caribbean? So how can it's not, when it says the world, when you read that scripture, it's not talking about the entire earth. It's just the part where the Romans ruled.
Dominion.
All right? That they ruled over that time. All right? So let's read that scripture again.
Luke chapter 2, verse 1. Mm-hmm. And it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed.
All the world. So that's the Roman Empire, not the entire earth. Just the people that was in the Roman authority. Remember, they took down the Greeks. Okay? Not Russia, not China. It's talking about just the Roman Empire that we saw on our phones. That all the world, so everybody in that area, would be taxed. Now, that tax part is not talking about what we think like money, like paying tax. That's not what it's talking about. In other words, they were collecting like a census, like a register, or like an enrollment of all the people that was in the Roman Empire or the Roman world, put it that way. Cut it.
So when it says the Roman Empire, the world, whatever they conquered was
Right.
part of it.
Right. So that's why I said allows you to go on your phones and Google Roman Empire. And then it shows you that part of Italy, the north of Africa, Spain, parts of Britain, but nothing about United States, no South America, not South Africa, not Ghana, not China. Those areas they didn't rule over. So the whole, when they say the world, you can't get fooled by that word world. That's talking about everybody. No. Okay? And then it said that all should be taxed. That was the law. Everybody had to be enrolled like a census. They want to know how many people was inside the Roman Empire. Okay? Verse 2.
And this taxing was first made by Cyrenius. Well, excuse me. This first taxing was made when Cyrenius was governor over Syria.
All right. So now they tell you where that idea came from, because it didn't come from Augustus Caesar. The idea came from Cyrenius, the governor of Syria. Now, when you read about that, is that you remember the United States, what we have now, we have like the United States of America, different states, right? We also got a Senate. And each state got a what? A governor. Same thing. The Romans, they the ones started that. All right, along with the Greeks. They had a Senate. So Cyrenius, he was a governor of this area, which was a part of the Roman Empire. He started the idea of collecting people's names and who was also lived in the empire. Okay? So the governor is in charge of what? The governor of New York is in charge of what? He's in budgeting, finances. He's even in charge of education department. He's even in charge of the police. Transportation. The governor gives the okay to that. He has a lot of power. All right? One day you get a chance to look up the duties of a governor. He has a lot to say. He can make state judges. He can call them out. All right? So what this governor here, he started the idea of doing a census, or with no taxing at that time. So Augustus Caesar, he did the same thing. Okay, so now let's see how this affected the birth of Yahushua. Go ahead.
Verse 3.
Yep.
And all went to be taxed, everyone into his own city.
All right, so everybody's an empire in different cities. They all went to be enrolled and registered because it was a law. Okay, continue.
And Joseph also went up from Galilee, out of the city of Nazareth, into Judea, unto the city of David, which is called Bethlehem.
All right, so parts of Israel, all right, that was part of the Roman Empire. Who was ruling during the time of Christ?
Romans.
The Romans. So who's under their authority? So everybody that lived in the area, even Joseph, all right, Joseph went to enroll. That was a law. If they didn't, they'd probably get killed or put in jail. So Joseph found the law of the Roman Empire. Okay? Continue on.
Because he was of the house of the lineage of David.
Underline that. That's very important there. That's why I love the scriptures. It said Joseph, even though he's a Roman Empire, he was living in Nazareth from the city of Galilee. All right? Because he was of the, it tells you right there, he was of the lineage, he was of the house and lineage of King David. All right, house and lineage. Now I can get really deep on that. It's the difference between a house and lineage too. I thought it's a house is talking about he's from the royal family. All right, he's from the royal family of King David. That's what it says, house. Okay? Just like you have your home, right? And everybody in your house is of your house, that royal family. Then it said, and lineage. Lineage just means he's direct descendant or bloodline of David. So he was both. He's from the royal family of David, but also he was a direct bloodline or descendant from David. So he had to register and enroll and inform the Romans who he was. Okay, continue.
To be taxed with Mary, his espoused wife, being great with child.
All right, so he had a espoused wife. Of course, she's with him, so she got to be taxed. Both of them going to enroll and let the Roman Empire know their lineage and where they're from and where they live. Okay, continue.
And so it was that while they were there, the days were accomplished that she should be delivered.
All right, so it said while they was on their way to do the enrollment, that she was pregnant, and on their way to being enrolled through the census, they said her days were accomplished, meaning that her days were complete for her to have a child. Her 9 months was complete on that way. Okay, continue.
And she brought forth her firstborn son.
All right, underline that, firstborn son. Firstborn son. So the baby that she was having was her firstborn son. In other words, that means she had no, but she had more children, but specifically more what?
Sons.
More sons. Mary just didn't have the Rawchaa. She has, it says her firstborn son. But you don't ever read about the other sons, do you? And there's a reason for that, but you don't read about the other sons. Okay? So he was the firstborn son, the eldest son. Okay, continue.
And wrapped him in swaddling clothes, and laid him in a manger.
All right, so he was born, right? And they put him in swaddling clothes. When you look at the word swaddling, that means like strips of cloth. And it's almost like you wrapping the baby up where it can't move, it's restricted. So it won't move. That's why you see a young baby, they wrap up real tight. All right, because they don't have the ability to really hold themselves up. So you gotta restrict them until they're able to hold themselves up. So they're swaddling clothes like strips of cloth to restrict them from moving. Okay? And it said that they laid him in the manger. That's like a box. A wooden box. Manger. Right? The manger is something they also put animal food in. Right.
Trough.
Like a little trough. So this wooden box was shaped like that. Okay? And there's a reason why they did that. Just read the next verse.
Because there was no room for them in the inn.
And in the inn. Now, inn is a what? A hotel, right?
Right.
So it was so many people going to enroll that they couldn't find or make any type of reservation in any type of inn. And she was having a baby. So what they do, they had to have the baby where? Outside. All right? They had it outside. And what they did, had the baby, and they wrapped him in tight clothing. All right? And they set him in a little box, almost like a little crib, but it was wooden. Okay? You with me?
Yeah.
All right, it's going to come clear. So what we're going to find out today, get the understanding, all right, of when and where Yahushua was born, our Savior. Okay, a lot of times they don't teach us in church all the way. Okay? All right, continue on.
And there were in the same country shepherds abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night.
Underline, shepherds abiding in the field. Now I want you to think a little bit, okay? When you read the scriptures, it's there, you just got to think. It says shepherds abiding in the field. What were the shepherds doing? Who was they watching? Sheep.
Right.
All right. All right. Now, whether you know that, this is springtime. This is during the spring. It has nice weather. Okay, this is springtime. Because if it's not, they will put the sheep inside of a barn. They said they was out abiding the sheep, watching the sheep, because sheep can be stolen too. They were watching the sheep at night. So in order to do that, it had to be springtime, warm weather. All right, it had to be warm weather for that to be happening. At night. Okay? Continue on.
And lo, the angel of the power came upon them, and the glory of the power shone round about them, and they were sore afraid.
All right, now, that's not talking about Mary and Joseph. The angel came over. He was showing that to the shepherds. All right, so the angels came towards the shepherds. Because it said in that same country, that same area or land, that the angels came. It's not talking about Mary and Joseph. And they said they were so afraid. Why are you so afraid of an angel? Have anybody seen an angel? No, you know. If you see an angel, you will be afraid. I'm going to show you why. Let's hold that. Let's go to Old Testament a little bit. Let's go to the book of Ezekiel. Book of Ezekiel. I'm going to show you what an angel looked like, and you see why they were afraid. Book of Ezekiel. Give everybody time. Everybody all right? Everybody okay? All right. All right, I want you to hold off. I want to get another reader right quick. You hold off for a second. You come back and get back to the New Testament. All right, let's go to Ezekiel, first chapter. Let's start at the 5th verse.
Read now Ezekiel 1, chapter 1, verse 5. Also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures. And this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man. All
right, so these 4 living creatures, all right, it said this is what they look like. This is their appearance. And these are 4 angels that Ezekiel is describing. Now, we'll wait for the sister to get her Ezekiel. Somebody help her with.
I got it.
You got it? Okay.
Ezekiel.
Ezekiel, 1st chapter. And you're going to see why the shepherds were so afraid. Okay, continue. Verse 6.
Verse 6. And every one had 4 faces. And every one had 4 wings.
All right, so imagine looking at this creature. It was 4 of them. So he said every one had 4 faces.
You really mean they have 4 faces like the faces that we have? They have 4 faces, really 4 faces?
All right, it's going to tell us. Let's continue to read. All right, it's going to tell us.
Let me say it again. Verse 6. And every one had 4 faces.
All right, so he looking at 4 times 4, he's looking at 16 faces. He's describing 16 faces, but only 4 creatures. Each creature, each angel had 4 faces and 4 wings. All right, continue.
and everyone had 4 wings.
Go ahead.
Verse 7. And their feet were straight feet, and the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot.
All right, so now that's when you start reading about in the law, the dietary law. The cow's foot, calf. So it looks like this, basically. Has a split hoof. All right, that showed you that was a clean animal. So just imagine, look like a deer almost. So the angels, their feet look like deer feet. They didn't have a man's foot, they had a deer foot. Okay, continue.
And they sparkled like the color of burnished brass.
And it was sparkling like the color of burnished brass. Honestly, you can say that the angels were dark.
Right, come.
They didn't like what they show you. The heavenly angels, they always show them white.
Yep.
But the scriptures don't say that. And it's going to explain more how they look. Burnished brass, when it was dark brass. Okay, their feet, go ahead.
Verse 8. And they had the hands of a man under their wings, on their 4 sides.
All right, now just imagine, under their wings, they had the hands of a man. Like me and your hands?
Yeah.
They had hands under their wings.
Wow.
And 4 faces.
That's a really true appearance, exactly how it's written here?
Yeah.
Boy.
So just imagine, all you gotta do is read. It's gonna tell you. All right, let's continue on. Go ahead.
And they 4 had their faces and their wings.
Go ahead.
Their wings were joined one to
They
another.
were connected. All right, so just imagine that. Just imagine like 4 birds. All right, it wasn't just one wing, they had 4 wings. That's a lot of power. And you're gonna see why they needed 4 wings. Ain't no other animal got 4 wings but an angel.
But let me ask you, how come when the angel appeared into in Baruch chapter 4, I think it is, when he appeared to Ezra, he didn't know he was an angel. How come he didn't know he was an angel? How come he didn't see him as that? Because he pretended that he was how he pretended that he was a
man.
a man from another family, and I forget what family.
That was a different type.
So it's different types of angels?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so just hold on. Let's watch, let's read this. Okay? All right, continue on.
Their wings were joined one to another.
Go ahead.
They turned not when they went.
Go ahead.
They went everyone straight forward.
All right, so go ahead. I'll explain that in a minute. Go ahead.
Verse 10. As for the likeness of their faces, they 4 had the face of a man.
All right, so look at this. Let's look at this angel. They have 4 faces. So now it's going to describe each face. Okay, the first one had what? A face of what?
The face of a man.
Just like us. Go ahead.
And the face of a
A
lion.
lion. Go ahead.
On the right side.
And that was on the right side. Go ahead.
And they 4 had the face of an ox.
An ox?
On the left side. They 4 also had the face of an eagle.
So they all look alike, but they have 4 faces. A man, a lion, an ox, right?
Right.
And an eagle. Now, if you seen that, wouldn't you be afraid? Yeah, if you seen that come, just imagine that coming to your presence. And don't let it be dark. or you just be walking and it just pops up. That was really scary.
Go ahead.
It's also mentioned in Luke with Zacharias, the priest.
How they was afraid.
Yeah, he's afraid.
All right, let's continue on just a little bit more.
Verse 11. Thus were their faces, and their wings were stretched upward. 2 wings of everyone were joined one to another, and 2 covered their body.
Just imagine that. 2 wings up, they had 2 wings covering their body. Okay, so they can use 2 when they want, and they can rest 2. All right, the ability that they had. Hold on. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 12. And they went everyone straight forward. Whether the spirit was to go, they went. And they turned not when they went.
All right, so in other words, when it says, and their spirit, all right, 'cause remember they moved by the spirit. by the commandment of the Most High. They moved. And then it says here, they turned not when they went. In other words, when they moved, they didn't have to turn.
Just moved in the direction.
Just move in direction, or they would just disappear. In other words, what they call when you move from one place to another place, teleportation.
Yeah.
They can do that. They can just move. Then they can move, don't even turn, and just zip, zip, zip. That's all the ability they had. All right? That's their ability. So just imagine that. Don't even turn, they just move.
Wow.
In other words, they can move from that seat to that seat half a second, quarter of a second. Go to the back, bam, bam, bam. Just to move right around. Sit next to me, move, move, keep going around. Just imagine that. All right, hold on.
Okay.
All right, so now let's go back to the book of Luke.
Okay. What was that?
Okay, Luke the 2nd chapter. Everybody with me? Everybody okay? Yeah. All right, okay. We're going to get the understanding of when and where Yahushua was born. Okay, so now the angels came, it's verse 9, the angels came and they approached the shepherds, not Mary and Joseph, the shepherds. Okay, continue. Verse 9.
Luke chapter 2, verse 9. And lo, the angel of the power came upon them, and the glory of the power shone round about them, and they were sore afraid.
They were sore. If we just see why they was afraid, along with their power, because when they in your presence, they got so much majesty, till it just freezes you. You can't move. Okay, the power of the Most High is around them. All right, go ahead.
Chapter 2, verse 10. And the angel said unto them, Fear not, for behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy, which shall be to all people.
All right, so he's talking to the shepherds. Okay, continue.
For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Yahushua the power.
All right, so let's break that down. So it says, for unto you is born this day. He tell them today has been born in the city of David. What city of David? Bethlehem. Okay. A Savior. Someone that's come to save someone. All right? Which is, when it says Christ, that just means anointed. That's not his name, Christ. It's just anointed. The Mashiach in Hebrew.
Mashiach.
Okay? And to this day, his name, well, not his name, but it says the anointed is born in the city of David. All right, continue. Verse 12.
And this shall be a sign unto you. Ye shall find the babe wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger.
All right, he said, and the angel said, this is going to be a sign to you angels. All right, it's going to be a sign. This is how you know. It's a signal. It says here that you shall find a baby wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger. Not in the house, in the manger, outside. Okay, let's continue.
And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly hosts, praising Yahweh, and saying, Glory to Yahweh in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill toward men.
All right, so you always hear that during Christmas time, right? Goodwill towards men. See, they get this from the scriptures. But as we know, okay, this is in the springtime. This is not winter. This is not December 25th. Okay? Yeah.
Yeah, I can see where it also proves in the Mashiach the authority and the author of all things. He meant for the you know how you made the analogy of the hotel being full. So that end can be room for the Mashiach.
All right. Yeah.
Also, I don't know if you was going to bring it out, but one of the major reasons why the inns were full, because it was Passover time. And that's why, and he was born on Passover.
Okay. Okay. All right. And when is Passover? We're doing what season?
Spring.
Springtime. Okay. All right. So we're getting understanding. All right. Just hold your question. We're getting understanding. Okay. Of when and where Yahweh was born. Okay. Let's speed up a little bit. Go ahead.
And it came to pass, as the angels were gone away from them into heaven,
All right. So the angels left. Okay.
the shepherds said one to another, let us now go even unto Bethlehem,
The city of David. Okay.
and see this thing which is come to pass, which the power hath made known unto us.
By the angels. Okay. When they wasn't in front of Mary and Joseph. This angels came to the shepherds. Okay. Go ahead.
And they came with haste, and found Mary and Joseph and the babe lying in a manger.
Lying in a manger. Is it inside the house?
They were outside. The baby was
Outside. It's outside. Springtime. Okay, go ahead.
And when they had seen it, they made known abroad the saying which was told them concerning this child. And all they that heard it wondered at those things which were told them by the shepherds.
Go ahead.
But Mary kept all these things and pondered them in her heart.
All right, let's slow down. Let's go back a little bit.
Which verse?
Okay, let's go back to verse 15.
15.
Yeah.
And it came to pass, as the angels were gone away from them into heaven,
Go ahead.
the shepherds said one to another, let us now go even unto Bethlehem.
So let's go to the city of David, like the shepherds said. He said, unto you is born the city of where? David, which is Bethlehem. So they followed and said, let us go see what the angel said. Okay, continue.
And see this thing which is come to
To
pass.
see what this thing, which is the baby that's come to pass, that the angels made so much praise over. All right, continue.
Which the power hath made known unto us. And they came with haste, and found Mary and Joseph and the babe lying in a manger.
All right, so they came in haste means quickly. They didn't tarry. They didn't take their time. They came in haste, hurriedly. Okay, go ahead.
And when they had seen it, they made known abroad the saying which was told them concerning this
All
child.
right, so they made it known abroad. So they start telling everybody, other people. Now back in those days, no social media, so they couldn't take a picture, and put it on Instagram. They couldn't do that. Couldn't put it on Facebook back then. No social media. So they had to begin telling everybody abroad. Now these are the shepherds. This is not Mary, this is not Joseph. These are the shepherds telling everybody. Okay, go ahead.
And all they that heard it wondered at those things which were told them by the shepherds.
They was wondering, oh, okay, we did hear something. And you're going to realize that they was waiting for this point. And if I go a little deeper, you got to remember, Joseph and Mary didn't really tell everybody about it. All right? They didn't even tell everybody about that. Okay, go ahead.
But Mary kept all these things and pondered them in her heart.
Go ahead.
And the shepherds returned.
Okay, hold on. I got to slow down a little bit. Verse 19, let's read that again.
But Mary kept all these things and pondered them in her heart.
All right, so now she kept hearing. Now she heard what was told by the angels to the shepherds. All right, so shepherds relayed to Mary what their visit from the angel. Now Mary began to ponder this, and it says heart, that means mind. All right, not down to here, not this heart here. She began to ponder in her mind those sayings. Now let's find out what sayings that she pondered in her mind. Let's hold that. Same book. Let's go to the book, first chapter of Luke. Remember, this is springtime. Let's go one chapter previous. This is what Mary pondered in her mind when the angels came to her. And the shepherds told her what the angels said. Because remember, she already got a visit from the angel already. All right, let's go to Luke Let's start at the 41st verse.
Luke chapter 1 verse 41. And it came to pass that when Elizabeth heard the salutation of Mary, the babe leaped in her womb, and Elizabeth was filled with the Holy Ghost.
Okay, go ahead.
And she spake out with a loud voice and said, Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb.
So she remembered, she thought upon it. Oh, I remember when my cousin Elizabeth said that. All right, because it said the angels came and told the shepherds, say, unto you is born a Savior from the city of David. All right, so now she began to wonder, okay, I remember what Elizabeth said. This is what she began to ponder in her mind. Okay, continue.
And whence is this to me, that the mother of my power should come to me?
All right, so this is what she began to ponder in her mind, that she was the chosen woman. Okay, all right, let's go back to the 2nd chapter. Let's finish reading.
19 or 20.
Let's begin at the 20th verse. Remember, you have to read the scriptures.
Luke chapter 2.
Okay. Verse 20, go ahead.
Verse 20. And the shepherds returned, glorifying and praising Yahweh for all the things that they had heard and seen. And it was told unto them.
All right, so when they was told by the shepherds what had happened, they went and seen for themselves. And once they seen the witnesses, they was very happy about that. And they began to tell everybody, hey, the Savior, our Savior was born. Our Savior is born. So now they begin to tell everybody, praising people. Okay, continue.
And when 8 days were accomplished for the circumcising of the child.
All right, now that goes back to the law, right? So in 8 days, what happens after 8 days?
After circumcise the child under the law.
Under the law. That comes from way back in Genesis. Okay? Circumcision was done on the 8th day, not on the 1st day or 2nd day. Okay? According to the law. Okay, go ahead.
His name was called Yahweh.
Now, okay, when do you name a child? According to the law.
8 days. On the 8th
On the
day.
8th day.
I know that.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, even though they already knew his name because it was told that
Right.
through the prophecy. But in ancient days, they didn't name the child till at least the 8th day. Okay? And they had meanings. The names was just given a name because it sounded good. It was always a meaning behind the name. Hebrew always had the meanings behind it. Okay? On the 8th day. All right? And sometimes when you go to the hospitals and so forth, a lot of doctors talk you out of that, having it on the 8th day. Because they know, when you tell them, no, I want it done on the 8th day, they know you know that law. They try to do it on the 7th day or the 9th day. But you got to be real firm. You got to know this is only on the 8th day. Okay, let's continue.
Which was so named of the angel before he was conceived in the womb.
Right, so Yahushua a little different. His name was already given before he was even conceived in the womb. Okay, let's continue on.
And when the days of her purification, according to the law of Moses, was accomplished, they brought him to Jerusalem to present him to the Lord.
All right, anybody know what it talks about there? The days of her purification according to the law of Moses.
Women after childbirth were put out.
Unclean for 80 days?
No, not 80.
40.
40.
40.
Right, according to the law. And you know, that give the Most High, that's why the Most High does everything righteously, holy, clean. When a woman has a child, you gotta give them time to recover from that. You just can't keep, have a child and go to work the next day. No, it's not supposed to go like that. You're supposed to have time to recover. That's a how would you say, a magnificent thing that a woman does. So when that happens, the Most High give you time to restore herself. Yeah.
And then also that 40-day period, in the law, I believe the husband's not supposed to know her, and it's the same thing as I was talking to somebody about that. It's basically how they say now you're not supposed to know your wife for 6 weeks after she gives birth, so 6 times 7 is 42. It's kind of like
But it kind of close, but you got to know the law. See, that's what makes us different. We got the law. We got to understand the law. Because it's there. The Most High doesn't make laws for no reason. It's always even going down to the dietary law. It's a reason for that. And if you just read a little more, he always tells you.
Why is it 40 for a male child and 80 for a female child?
Okay, so basically when that happens, you got to remember, the woman has what is known an unclean period too. All right, so you're making up for, how would you say, the maid child, the maid child, and the woman.
Okay.
That's 40, that's 80 days.
2 women.
Yep.
Gotcha.
And that goes back to law. If you ever read, that law is in Leviticus, and if we go to it, if you really want to know, let's go to, Leviticus, I think that's 12. Go to the Old Testament. Go to Leviticus 12. Yeah, Leviticus 12. Let's go there. That's the law of purification. Because it's a lot of blood, okay? Pregnancy is serious, okay? Yeah.
I know, and I forgot where was it, and one part of it said the woman's, like that is like man is supposed to touch it because it's the bottom of a filth.
Well, it's the cleaning, right? The body, that's correct. All right. Remember, anything that comes out of your body is unclean. All right, you all know that. That's why when pus is considered unclean. Anything that comes out of your body is considered unclean. When you throw up, that's unclean, right? Anything that comes out of your body, whether it's through blood, all right, whether through pus or an infection, whether through semen,
right,
that's unclean. Okay, that's where the Most High made us. Anything that comes out of your body is unclean. Sweat is unclean. Okay? When you sweat is, what are you doing when you're sweating?
You're letting out toxins.
Yeah, you're letting out toxins.
But so we lived in our home that is in a warm place. So we
sweat.
Just move around, you sweat. So going to the tabernacle, you sweat, no?
But not like that.
All right. I'm like, wait a minute.
Let me add something to that. What you saying, remember the high priest, they could not even go into the holies of holies if they was perspiring.
Yeah.
They couldn't even go in there. He said, change your garments and don't come in there seeing me perspiring.
Okay.
That's in the law too.
That's when he gets real strict. When you start doing the Holy of Holies, that's a whole different level. That's a whole different level. That's when the Most High on his level of purity. You gotta be right. That's why the lame couldn't even go inside the temple. That's why you can't even eat an animal that's maimed. Okay? You can't eat roadkill. No, you can't eat it. Say if you in the South, my family did, they would say if you hit an animal, you can't eat that animal. Okay? So the Most High, he gets in that level, he's really, really pure. Okay? And you gotta remember, we are what we practice in the righteous acts of the Most High to the best of our ability. All right? And this is the laws. Okay? All right, so let's go back to the law of Luke. In Luke 12 chapter, it tells you about the 40 days and 80 days that Mary had.
Leviticus,
Yeah, get another reader. Let me get another reader. Labuan, you can take that if you want.
You want me at 12 and 1?
Leviticus 12 and 1.
Now Leviticus chapter 12 verse 1. The Most High spoke unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying,
Who was he talking to? The children of Israel, not
Speak
everybody.
unto the children of Israel, saying, if a woman has conceived seed and born a man child, then she shall be unclean 7 days, according to the days of the separation of her infirmity shall she be unclean.
Go ahead.
And in the 8th day, the flesh of his foreskin shall be
All right,
circumcised.
so that going back to law. That she was following the law. All right, go ahead.
And she shall then continue in the blood of her purification 3 days. She shall touch no hallowed thing, nor come into the sanctuary until the days of her purification be fulfilled.
So 33 plus 7 is what?
40.
That's the 40 days. He gives her time to restore herself. And when you marry, you're not supposed to be with her during that time. You give your wife, time to restore herself.
That's trauma too to her body.
Yeah,
That's trauma.
yeah. All right. Continue on.
As they said, and that's why sometimes in the world you see kids born in the same year because they don't follow that law.
That can happen. That can happen. All right.
Verse,
I'm sorry, go ahead. And sister, if you know that you relate, expand on that more. Okay?
Quick question. Right here it talks about in the 8th day the child is circumcised. So she has no part in that. Because
What do you
of
mean?
the simple fact that she's still unclean, so she can't even go to the temple.
No, they wouldn't. They don't necessarily. It would be the father.
Father, exactly.
Now, maybe Ash can explain a little more. I don't know if they did. I don't think they did that. They didn't circumcise inside the temple, did they?
No, they
No.
did that at home.
They had to be at home.
What was the question?
They still do.
On the 8th day, where was the child circumcised? Like now we do it in the hospital. But in those days, they didn't take the child to the temple to be circumcised. That would be unclean. So it had to be,
In the home.
it had to be in
they
the
did it at
presence.
home because that would be almost like what they do now, christening in the fake churches.
But in terms of your question, yeah, I wouldn't doubt she probably would be around, but I'm pretty sure the father would take her on that part.
Yes.
Good question. All right.
But her being unclean just means I'm not laying with her, but she could still be around me, right? Or no?
Well,
Well,
in those days,
You couldn't touch the same bed.
she had complete separation.
Okay.
You gotta remember, it's emotional time too.
Right.
You need that complete. You don't need you hassling her, driving her crazy.
Is that kind of like why kings have concubines and all of that? So when she's unclean, she's put somewhere else, and
I would say part of that, yeah.
All right.
That could be done. That's when you get super wealth in those
Right,
days.
like a king.
Yeah. Okay. Let's continue on.
Verse 5. But if she bear a maid child,
That's a girl. Okay.
then she shall be unclean 2 weeks, as in her separation,
All right. A normal separation, 7 days. Go ahead.
and shall continue in the blood of her purification 66 days.
All right. So 3 scoring 6 is what? Plus 14.
14 is 8.
Yeah. So it's 2 7-day periods. One for her and one for the maid child, which we'll be doing that in our future. Most High is amazing how he does that. Okay, that's why it's good to know that law. Okay? All right, let's go back to the book of Luke. Y'all all right? Everybody all right?
God.
So our goal is we're going to get the understanding of when and where Yahushua was born. So at this point, we understand that it was springtime, right? And he was born outside because there was what? No room where?
In the end.
In the inn. And they was all going to be traveling, going to what we call a census. All right, be registered for the Roman Empire.
When you all have looked at manger in the Greek, what is it? What does that mean? Really? Is it really like where the animals are, or?
Well, I can text someone, Brother
All right.
Carzal, and maybe Labaran might know
Now, this
the
means
Greek
a
the Greek
small
word.
place to lay down.
Small place to lay down?
Yeah,
All right, cool.
like a crib.
It's like a crib. But we can get the technical word in the Greek.
Right, okay.
Now, also the book of Matthew is written in Hebrew as well.
Oh, Matthew?
Matthew's in Hebrew.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Luke is not, from what I understand.
All right.
So we go to the Greek to find out that exact word.
From angel.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's go back to the book of Luke, 2nd chapter, right? Where are we? Because we're going to read this whole thing.
We were at 21, I believe.
Yeah.
Luke chapter 2, verse 21.
Go ahead.
And when 8 days were accomplished for the circumcising of the child, his name was called Yahushua.
All right. Now, let's go back a little bit. Let me get that. So with this time, we want to be technical a little bit here. His name was called Yahushua. Yahushua would be in what? The Hebrew for what?
You said
Joshua. His name was Joshua. Okay. But we say Yahushua in Hebrew. You gotta remember, there's no J in Hebrew.
So Jesus' name was Joshua in Hebrew.
Yeah. Yeah. There was no Jesus. no G. They didn't say Jesus.
Yahshua.
Yahshua. There's no J in Hebrew.
Right.
That's just an English translation. So when you say Jesus or Jesus, you're not even calling. You know we're close to his name.
Okay. So Jesus in the Hebrew is Joshua.
So when you praying to Jesus, you're not even saying his name. Just imagine somebody call you out of your name.
You get tagged after all.
You get offended or you won't answer.
Right. So you calling him.
All right? And you got to remember, a name is a name no matter what language it is. What I mean by that, say Michael Jackson, right? When he goes and do shows in China, what do they say? They say Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
They don't translate it into Chinese.
Right.
Good.
No matter where he go, they call him Michael Jackson. They can speak Chinese, they can speak Russian, but when they say his name, they always say Michael Jackson because that's his name. So if Christ's real name is Yahshua, we should say Yahshua or Yahushua, not Jesus, not in our translation.
Right.
Make sense? Okay. All right.
Okay.
So when you go to China, they're gonna call you by your name. They're not gonna translate it in their Chinese language.
Right.
You understand that? Makes sense? So technically, when we pray, we saying the wrong. When you say Jesus, you saying the wrong name. All right. His name is Yahushua or Yahshua in Hebrew.
That's why he ain't hearing our prayers. Well, not us, but you know.
Technically, we're not saying the right thing.
Right.
Somebody hear it, but he ain't hear it.
We're not saying the right word.
That's the word.
Okay, we got a minute. The Most High said, in the time of ignorance, he still hear us. And then also with stammering lips, we be heard by the Most High. In the different languages, we still be heard. Because honestly, we don't know. Most High people don't know. In the churches, they don't know his Hebrew name. So, you know, it's ignorance, but the Most High, he looks over that.
Okay.
Okay, so you can't fault your family members for not knowing.
Okay.
You can explain to them and tell them, you know, but they still can say in Jesus, you can't
Yeah. Can't stop from saying that.
No, they just don't know. That's why, you know, when you get this word, you really got, it makes you bold, all right? And it makes you wiser. That's what David said. He was wise, and because of the law, he was wiser than the people that's older than him. All right? Wiser than his ancients. So when you get this knowledge, you're wiser than a lot of your people in your family. You just don't know. Okay? All right. All right, so let's continue on. Go back to Luke.
Chapter 2, verse 21.
Go ahead.
You want to start from the top? Or from which?
From which? Go ahead.
Which was so named of the angel before he was conceived in the womb.
His name was called Yahushua before he's even born. Okay, go ahead.
And when the days of her purification, according to the law of Moses, were accomplished, they brought him to Jerusalem to present him to the Most High.
Then that's when they brought him to the temple. After the 40 days, Yahushua didn't go to the temple. Because who got to bring him? His parents. All right, she had to come too. All right, go ahead.
As it was written in the law of the Most High, every male that openeth the womb shall be called holy to the Most High.
Got to be presented. Go ahead.
And to offer a sacrifice according to that which is said in the law of the Most High, a pair of turtle doves or 2 young pigeons.
Now, that's going into sacrifice law. All right, you got to remember, that was a law of sacrificing. The law of sacrifice didn't end until when?
Christ was on the cross? I mean, Yahushua was on the cross?
Yeah. When he sacrificed himself for us, there was no more sacrificing. All right, the Most High got rid of that law. No more sacrificing. Because we took advantage of that. The Most High said we're going to stop sacrifice because we didn't take it seriously. We would sin and sacrifice afterwards. He didn't like that. You would go and kill somebody and then, oh, I'm going to go sacrifice a dove and be forgiven. The Most High, we're going to stop that. All right, so it's no more sacrifice. So you see different religions sacrificing animals, stuff like that, stay away from them. Okay? No more sacrificing. So Yahushua. So this was done because he wasn't the last sacrifice yet. So they were still doing that. Mary and them was doing that. The priest, put it that way. Okay? Continue on. Let's get another reading. I want to read a little faster.
Okay.
We come back to give you a break.
Okay.
Labarim also I want to read a little faster.
Where we at?
2 and 21.
Read out of Luke chapter 2, verse 23. As it is written in the law of the Most High, every male that openeth the womb shall be called holy to the Most High.
Be presented to the Most High. Go ahead.
And to offer a sacrifice according to that which is said in the law of the Most High. A pair of turtle doves or 2 young pigeons.
All right, pair of turtle doves. 2. One as a gift and one for a sacrifice. There's a reason for the doves. I mean the turtles. One represented the gift and one was representing the sacrifice. You can write that down if you want. All right, but they don't do that no more. Okay, let's continue.
Verse 25.
Yeah.
And behold, there was a man in Jerusalem whose name was Simeon. And the same man was just and devout, waiting for the consolidation of Israel.
All right, remember, our people was waiting for this time. Under the Roman Empire, all right? A lot of them came out of Babylon, different slavery, and we knew that a Savior was coming for us. So when they said consultation, underline it, consolation. Just another word for comfort. A comfort of Israel, because we need the comfort. We didn't know what direction we were going. We didn't have no, how would you say, direct for our lives. It wasn't like during King David, King Solomon. The scripture said we had the best of every day. During King David and King Solomon, they said we lack nothing. Every family had a vineyard. Just imagine that. Every family had a vineyard. It was not. The scripture said it was nothing that we lacked. Everybody was doing well during the time of King David, King Solomon. If you want, you can crack this door.
It's never been a time since, right?
We haven't had that.
Never again.
Elder Judah, can you crack this door?
Yes, sir.
We haven't had that since, even now, where everybody is wealthy. No, we haven't had that. Okay? Only a certain portion of our people are wealthy. Okay, but we're doing King Solomon, King David, everybody was doing well. All right? Okay, continue.
Waiting for the consolation of Israel, and the Holy Spirit was upon him.
Okay, go ahead.
Verse 26. And it was revealed unto him by the Holy Spirit that he should not see death before he had seen Hamashiach Yahushua.
All right, so what it was, before it was revealed to this particular man, Simeon, that he would not die. Okay, he's waiting for that consolation. He knew that day was coming. He knew that Redeemer was coming. And his spirit wanted to stay alive until he's, listen, I got to at least see him before I die. I know we shouldn't be in this position. Okay? So he said he should not see death before he has seen the baby, basically. Okay? Continue on.
Verse 27. And he came by the Spirit into the temple. And when the parents brought in the child Yahushua to do for him after the custom of the law.
All right, so this is the first time Yahushua had come to the temple. 40 days afterwards. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 28. Then took he him up in his arms and blessed the power and said,
go ahead.
Yahweh, now lettest thou thy servant depart in peace according to thy word.
All right, so when he saw the baby, he knew. He knew. He said, listen, I've seen what I need to see. I know my deliverance here. He understood reincarnation too. That's another class. All right, they knew that this was the one that was coming to restore Israel, to save Israel from their sins. Okay, continue.
Verse 30. For mine eyes have seen thy salvation.
All right, so that's similar to what Mother King says. For my eyes have seen the glory. All right? And once he said that, he knew. Okay, that's all he wanted to see. All right, continue.
Verse 31. Which thou hast prepared before the face of all people.
All right, let's speed up. Continue on.
32. A light to lighten the Gentiles and the glory of thy people Israel.
Sorry. Slow that again. Let's go to light. Means like when it says a light, that means like
hope.
Hope, not only hope, but almost like truth and the ability to see. All right, light's when you be able to see. Give hope. All right, light and light to. It says the Gentiles and the glory of thy people. All right, now the Gentiles is talking about, and that's another class talking about Israel and other nations too. All right, that's both. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 33. And Joseph and his mother marveled at those things which were spoken of him.
All right, so his parents, Joseph, like, wow, man, we hearing all these things about our baby. All right, now keep in mind, they don't heard from the angel and visit them, but I guess when you see other people glorified, they was amazed and marveled at all the good things they was hearing. Okay, he hadn't even done anything yet, the fact that he was born. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 34.
Yep.
And Simeon blessed them and said unto Mary his mother, Behold, this child is set for the fall and rising again of many in Israel.
Oh man, let's slow down there. He gave her good news and bad news. He gave her good news and bad news. Let's imagine somebody come tell you that about your child. They say, let's underline it. He said, this child is set for the fall and rising again of many, and where? Israel. Because remember, we have both the laws of Moses, so the Most High turned his back on us and kept putting us in slavery. All right, so we had to fall away. And the only way we come back to the Most High is through Yahushua, his death, sacrificing for us. That will bring us back to the Most High again. Okay? So that's why you understand and read the scriptures more and more. He only died for the children of Israel. Not for everybody, because everybody didn't have the law. The law was made for Israel. That's why you read the law, Moses always says, speak to the children of Israel. Speak to the children of Israel. He never say speak to everybody. The law was always given to the church. It sounds, how would you say,
Good.
it sounds like not right or selfish. When you read this Bible, that's what woke me up. This Bible changed my life. All right, what was those 4 questions I gave you in the beginning that you should ask you, that you should know? Who am I? Where am I from? And what's my future? So when I read this Bible, reading this Bible changed my whole life and my family's life for the better. And I kept saying, wow, this ain't what I'm reading. This is not what they say in the church. Remember, I'm a preacher's son. So a lot of times I'll be reading and I would listen to what my father's saying was opposite of what I'm reading. Okay? So that's what you gotta read. You gotta read for yourself. And it's gonna make sense to you. Okay? All right, continue reading.
And for a sign which shall be spoken against.
All right. When it says set, it means he's destined for the fall. He's destined for the fall of and rise of many in Israel, and for a sign which shall be spoken against. That sign when he's on that cross. He spoke against him when he was on that cross. Okay, go ahead.
35. Yea, a sword shall pierce through thy own soul also.
He talked to Mary. It's a sword going to be pierced through your own soul. In other words, you're going to be hurt by this. Remember Mary's at the cross? And Christ was on, Mary's at the crucifixion. And Christ, she was weeping. And he was on the cross. And she was weeping. That's her eldest son. She was weeping for him. Because remember, that was execution. That's what was going on. It was execution. And he told John to replace him. He said, this is your mother now. You know, replace me. John, I want you to be next to my mother. You know what that took, man? To watch your son being executed? Because that's what actually happened. Christ was executed. The Romans, what they did, they hung people on trees. Nowadays, when they do capital punishment is what? Injection. And they got lethal injection.
Chair.
Electric chair. That's what America does now. Yeah, but back in the Roman days, they hung people on trees as capital punishment, and that's what they did to Christ, and she had to watch that. And everybody ran, but who? There's a number of women around Yahushua. All the men cut out. All right?
That's a shame.
All right, all the men ran. That's why, you got to take women seriously, your wife, your daughters, because scriptures tell you you're not going to get any better help than from a woman. You never get no better help than that. A man going to flee, get envious of you, try to take you down. All right? All the women will stay there around and watch them to the end.
Ride or die.
And who was the first ones at the tomb? The women. All right.
Die for real.
Yeah. Plus that, you gotta remember that was her son too. Okay. It gets deep when you read this Bible, man. All right. Okay, continue on. Y'all okay?
Let me read 35 again.
All right. Okay.
Yea, a sword shall pierce through thy own soul also, that the thoughts of many hearts may be revealed.
I underline that. It says, the thoughts of many hearts may be revealed. The word hearts mean what? Minds. The thoughts of people's minds. So all those haters, it's going to be revealed. Everybody that was an enemy.
Snakes.
Whether it was Israel, whether it was people in his own nation, his own brothers and sisters. Remember, his own brothers and sisters didn't want to deal with him after a while. Remember that? I show you that. He stopped teaching his own brothers and sisters.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah. Stopped teaching his own brothers and sisters. All right? And other the Romans, all that hated him, that's what said she began to see all those thoughts of many should be revealed to her. So she see all the haters, the enemies of her son. Okay? Continue.
36. And there was one Anna, a prophetess, the daughter of Phanuel of the tribe of Asher. She was of a great age and had lived with a husband 7 years from the virginity.
Virginity means marriage. Underline that. All right, and unfortunately, he was only with him 7 years. Now, I suppose I didn't get a question. I know you're wondering why she was from the tribe of Asher.
I thought
Like only Northern Kingdom tribe.
But you gotta remember, most of the Judah, Benjamin, Levi was in Jerusalem.
Right.
But you had stragglers from
Right.
other tribes that was
In
around.
Samaria.
Not necessarily Samaria, but other tribes were. But not majority of the people was from Judah, Benjamin, Levi. What is known as today, Black Americans,
Right,
Jamaicans,
right.
and Haitians was around in Jerusalem at that time.
So when Christ was talking to the woman at the well, and she mentioned our fathers, was she of the northern kingdom or the southern kingdom? Because she was acting like she.
She was from another nation,
Oh, she was from another nation.
totally
Okay.
different nation.
Then why she say our fathers?
That's
All right,
Okay, no.
next class. It's all right. It's all
okay.
right.
I gotta explain it. I gotta explain this. Let's go to it. John the 4th chapter real quick, because I don't want to leave you hanging, even though it's off topic. But I want to answer that question for you real quick.
It's in John chapter 4.
Yep. Now that's when you start reading these stories here. You were like, wow. You know, Yahushua, and the way that Moses wrote this Bible, he's really only for Israel. Okay, let's go to John the 4th chapter. And give me a second.
You said virginity means marriage, right?
Yeah, you can write that, yeah, from the time that she was married. Because remember, that is marriage.
Right.
Okay, let's start at the John the 4th chapter. Let's start, let's start with 1. Let's start with 1. Yeah, let's start from the beginning. To get the full story. Go ahead.
You have John chapter 4 verse 1. When therefore the Most High knew that the Pharisees had heard that Yahushua made and baptized more disciples than John.
They heard about it. He was getting very popular. This is when he got up in age now. He started baptizing a lot of people, even more than John the Baptist. All right, go ahead.
Though Yahushua himself baptized not, but his disciples.
Even though he didn't actually do the baptizing, disciples did the baptizing for him, for the people. All right, cleansing the people. All right, go ahead.
He left Yahweh and departed again into Galilee.
He left Judah, that's the city of Judah. That's where most of our people were.
Okay.
All right, and he went to Galilee. Galilee is another city that our people were at as well, Galilee. Okay, go ahead.
And he must needs go through Samaria.
So as he's traveling, he had to go through Samaria. Okay, go ahead.
Then cometh he, lo, to a city of Samaria, which is called Sychar, near to the parcel of ground that Jacob gave to his son Joseph.
All right, so when it says here, near the parcel of ground that Jacob gave to his son Joseph, that's going back to the book of Genesis.
Right.
All right, this is their land, that parcel. All right, even though they didn't have rulership over it, but he knew, okay, this well belongs to my forefathers.
That's right.
Okay, go ahead.
Now Jacob well was there. Yahushua therefore, being wearied with his journey, sat thus on the well, and it was about the 6th hour.
All right, so, yeah, so what happened here, as he was traveling, he got kind of tired.
Right.
But he knew, okay, this piece of property I'm sitting on, that's from my forefathers, I'm going to sit here. All right, go ahead.
Verse 7. There cometh a woman of Samaria to draw water. Yahushua said unto her, give me drink.
All right, so there's a woman that happened to come up to her. That's the question.
Yeah.
He said, basically, give me a drink. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 8. For his disciples were gone away unto the city to buy meat.
All right, so it's only him and the woman.
Right.
All right, now let's go and answer all your questions. Go ahead.
Verse 9. Then said the woman of Samaria unto him, how is it that thou, being a Jew, askest drink of me, which am a woman of Samaria? For the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans.
Right, so basically she understood that she was another nation. She wasn't an Israelite. She said, no, the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans. So she knew that she had no dealings with him. Okay, all right, go ahead. So how you gonna ask him? Go ahead.
Right, I got you. I'm with you.
Continue, go ahead.
Verse 10. Yahweh answered and said unto her, if thou knowest the gift of the power, and who it is that says to thee, give me to drink, thou wouldst have asked of him, and he would have given thee living water.
All right, so basically saying, if you knew who you was talking to,
Right.
in other words, she didn't know who he was. She didn't know that was actually the Savior sitting right there.
Right.
That was asking for
A drink.
He didn't care whether she was from another nation or not.
He's thirsty.
He just wanted a drink, and she came and said, would you mind giving me a drink?
Right.
But she said, and like they all knew the law,
We don't deal with
Jews don't deal with, all right?
Yeah.
So he said, if you really knew who you were speaking to, he'd give you what?
Living water.
Living water, which is everlasting life.
Right,
If you knew,
she blew that.
if you knew who he was.
All right.
You, in other words, she would never thirst again. All right? Continue.
Verse 11. The woman said unto him, Sir, thou hast nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. From whence then hast thou that living water?
All right, so now, he basically lost her, basically. He really talked over her head. She didn't know what he was talking about, living water. All right, she had no idea what he was saying. He was talking spiritual things, but she really didn't understand who he is and what he was saying at all. All right, go ahead.
Verse 12. Art thou greater than our father Jacob, which gave us the well, and drank thereof himself, and his children, and his cattle?
All right, so she said, are you greater than Jacob, the father of this well? In other words, right.
So that's why I was saying I figured she was an Israelite, because she says our father Jacob.
All right, let's continue.
All right.
Go ahead.
Verse 13. Yahweh answered and said unto her, Whosoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again.
All right, so basically, go ahead. He's saying if you drink this water, you're going to be thirsty again. Go ahead.
But whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life.
All right, which is basically the commandments. All right. The law, everlasting life. That leads to everlasting life. That's what he's telling her. The truth.
The truth, right.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
The woman said unto him, Sir, give me this water that I thirst not, neither come hither to draw.
All right, so sometimes she began to catch on. All right, well, give me this water. If I'm going to everlasting water, give me this water. I don't know what you mean, but whatever it is, give it to me. All right, go ahead.
Verse 16. Yahweh said unto her, Go call thy husband and come hither.
All right, go ahead. She said, go get your husband and come. Go
Verse
ahead.
17. The woman answered and said, I have no husband. Yahweh said unto her, Thou hast well said, I have no husband.
Go ahead. Go
For
ahead.
thou hast had 5 husbands.
All right, so now Yahweh Shai, he kind of,
Took out a business.
well, what he did here,
Pull the car.
he's showing that she had lied. All right, he's exposing her. He's showing her basically, he was kind of showing off his gift, if you want to say. In other words, Yahweh Shai, he know who you are through his spirit. So basically, when she said she had no husband, he said, no, you have 5 husbands. All right, he already knows that. Okay, read that again so it can be clear. Go ahead.
Verse 18. For thou hast had 5
No,
husbands.
start from 17.
Oh. Verse 17. The woman answered and said, I have no husband.
Go ahead.
Yahweh said unto her, Thou hast well said, I have no husband.
Right, she said, yeah, you really basically said, yeah, I know you don't have a husband. All right, because, go ahead.
For thou hast had 5 husbands.
You have had 5 husbands. Go ahead.
And he whom thou now hast is not thy husband, and that saidest thou truly.
Like I said, but the one that you got now is not your husband. So he's basically exposing her personal life, basically. All right, he's exposing her personal life. All right, because you can't have 5 husbands. All right. So So he said, the one you have now, that's not your husband.
You just sleep on her.
So he basically exposed her personal. All right, go ahead.
Verse 19. The woman said unto him, Sir, I perceive that thou art a prophet.
So it seems like you gotta be a prophet, you know. All right.
Shouted me out.
Go ahead.
Verse 20. Our fathers worship in this mountain, and ye say that in Jerusalem is the place where men ought to worship.
All right. Go ahead. Now listen to what he says.
Rawchaa said unto her, Woman, believe me, the hour cometh when ye shall neither in this mount nor yet in Jerusalem worship the Father.
Now he told us, listen, it's gonna come when you're not even gonna worship Yahweh, the Most High, or not even Jerusalem. Verse 22. Go ahead.
Ye know not what you worship.
I see. You don't know what you're talking about. Go ahead.
For we know what we worship.
No, 7:22.
Ye worship, ye know not what.
Go ahead.
We know what we worship. For salvation is of the Jews.
All right, so you basically told, okay, we don't know what you're talking about. We know what we worship, the salvation of the Jews. All right, so he basically excluded her. All right, next scripture, go ahead.
Verse 23. But the hour cometh, and now is, when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father seeketh such to worship him.
Go ahead.
Yahweh is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth.
All right, verse 25.
The woman said unto him, I know the Mashiach cometh, which is called Yahushua. When he is come, he will tell us all things.
Go ahead.
Yahushua said to her, I that speak unto you am he.
All right, so she knew about the Messiah coming.
Right.
Is listen, that one you talk about, this is me. All right, so when you read that, you know, it goes and he shows how salvation of the Jews and nobody else. When you start reading those scriptures, it's hardcore, but it's in everybody's Bible. You just got to read it.
Didn't Ephraim have the land of Samaria?
Yeah.
So, which would be the northern kingdom. So I know during certain captivities they were removed and other people were brought into the land. But so when you see Samaria here in New Testament, it's really mostly Gentiles that are non-Israelites.
I'm gonna give you one more scripture, because that's another class. I'm gonna give you one more scripture.
My bad.
All right, give you one more scripture so that you can really. All right, let's go to Matthew 10th chapter. That way, when you see that word Samaria, you'll know. Matthew 10th chapter. Give everybody time to get there.
10 and 5.
What 5?
I should have known.
Yeah, we'll give everybody time to get there. Matthew 10th chapter.
Okay.
Let's read 5 and 6.
Okay. Read out of Matthew chapter 10, verse 5. These 12 Yahushua sent forth and commanded them, saying, Go not into the way of the Gentiles.
This is disciples he's telling, commanding. When he got disciples all together with Peter and all of them, he said, listen, read that again, commanded them. Go ahead.
These 12 Yahushua sent forth and commanded them, saying, Go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans. Enter ye not.
Go ahead.
But go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Now you see it? Now this is Christ speaking.
Right. Red letter.
These scriptures they don't read. You don't read in church. You're not going to see that. They're not going to explain that. Because why would he say that? He's don't even go to the Gentiles. Don't even go to Samaritans. That's why he dealt with that the lady from Samaria at the well that way, because they're not supposed to go there. She knew that too. But she didn't know. She didn't know in the presence of her that was the Savior. He said, but go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Okay, you got it.
All right, you see that?
Yes.
Okay, I'm glad I cleared it up for you. All right?
God.
Now you took me away from my class. All right, just look.
My bad. We back at Luke 2, right?
Yeah.
I think that mountain that they was on was Mount Gerizim. That's the mountain that the Samaritans worship. I think it was a war back then.
Okay.
When the Samaritans with the Israelites. I don't know whether it was during the Hyrcanus time BC. I can't remember what year, but it was a war. And Samaritans took up and they went to Mount Gerizim. They started taking up the customs and worshiping. I mean, they actually believed that they were us. You know,
Gotcha.
worship and go through the Most High. So where they was at was Mount Gerizim. That's why Yahushua said, "You won't worship on this mountain. Salvation is of the Jews in Jerusalem." Yeah, because the Samaritans have set up there. And that's why the woman was talking like that. Our fathers, Jacob, you know, just like the Colossians, the Ethiopians. They actually think that they us. And they would say Jacob is our father, Abraham, they'll go back to the lineage. Same thing the Samaritans was doing. That was Mount Gerizim. Everybody can write that down and go look up Mount Gerizim. You can Google it.
Okay, very good. How you spell that? How you spell that?
Let me see, okay, can I put me on the spot? I guess. G-E-R-I-Z-I, let me look it up. I don't want to give you the wrong thing.
Okay. All right, so let's go back to Luke. While he's getting that, let's go back to Luke.
So you were saying,
Yeah.
he told the woman, or he told the Samaritan to go to, what was that? He said go to the Israelites, right? But he didn't use the word Israelites.
They go to the Gentiles.
Right.
You talk about what Yahushua told the disciples? Don't go to. Yeah, he told them don't go teach the Samaritans. Don't teach the Gentiles. Only go teach the children of Israel. Yeah.
Because he knew what Samaritan was.
Yeah.
I mean, when he first spoke, I guess he gave her an opportunity. You know, then he caught her in a lie, and then he started breaking it down to her.
Yeah.
But that Mount Gerizim is Mount M-O-U-N-T, and Gerizim is G-E-R-I. I said G-E-R-R-I-Z-I-M.
Yeah. Okay. I've seen that before.
R-R-I-Z-I-M, I believe. Once you put it in, it'll come up.
Okay.
The computer spell it for you.
It'll correct you in a minute. Did you mean?
Everybody okay? All right. What time we got?
25 after.
Woo. Okay. Okay. How much more time I got, Ash? Couple. Because I'm not gonna be able to finish.
About 5 more minutes.
Okay.
You can go close up to 4 o'clock since you started late.
Y'all want me to, or you're tired?
We got the new room tonight. The school class is not going to be long. We got the new room tonight too.
Okay.
So it's a lot of classes.
Oh, y'all all right? Sisters, y'all all right, sisters? Okay. Okay. All right. So let's go back to the book of Luke. All right. I might skip a couple of scriptures. I wanted to read the whole thing to get the full understanding, but let me see how I do it. Let's go back to Luke.
We start 37.
37.
You want that? We got 15 more scriptures left.
Go ahead.
You can do it.
All right, go ahead.
Reading out of Luke chapter 2, verse 37. And she was a widow of about 84 years, which departed not from the temple, but served Yahweh with fasting and prayers night and day.
All right, so she was a widow for how long?
84.
It's a long time. A long time. And she was only married 7 years, but then she was a widow for, all right? So this woman here never even looked for another husband. And they said she did what?
She fast and pray.
Fast and pray all that time.
Every night.
All right? That's a strong woman. All right, that's why, when you read scripture, Yahushua always respect the widows and widowers. All right? Because they go into a different zone. Fasting and praying. All right? They basically almost shut the world off. All right, especially get up a certain age. All right, so you always got to respect and be there for widows. Okay, yeah.
Now, widower is no one who lost their husband.
Widow was when you lost your husband. A widower is when you lost your wife.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, got it.
All right, continue.
Verse 38. And she was coming in that instant, gave thanks likewise unto the Yahushua, and spoke of him to all them that looked for redemption in Jerusalem.
You notice it keeps saying Jerusalem. Everybody look for the redemption. All right, for Israel. Go ahead.
And when they had performed all things according to the law of the power, they returned into Galilee to their own city, Nazareth.
All right, so they went back to Nazareth. Okay, this is 39. Okay, next verse.
And the child grew and waxed strong in spirit, filled with wisdom, and the grace of the Most High was upon him.
Underline, put a line under 39 and 40. Put a line between them two scriptures, between 39 and 40. And the reason I put that is because a lot of years don't went by since between 39 and 40. You're talking about at least 11 years. All right, it says here, and the child grew and waxed strong in spirit, filled with the wisdom and with the grace of the Most High upon him. So he started getting older, close to like 12 years old. So in verse 39, he went back to Nazareth. He was still a baby in swaddling clothes. But verse 40, he's about 12 years old now. He grew in spirit, okay? And it said the grace of the Most High is upon him. I can remember he's a child himself. Okay, so you need mercy and grace upon him as well. Okay, go ahead.
41. Now his parents went to Jerusalem every year at the feast of the Passover.
All right, so his parents, it was like they went to Jerusalem for the Passover every year. Springtime. Passover in the springtime. Okay, go ahead.
42. And when he was 12 years old, they went up to Jerusalem after the custom of the feast.
All right, so they do that every year. When he was 12, this time they went to the Passover. Go ahead.
And when they had fulfilled the days as they returned, the child Yahushua tarried behind in Jerusalem.
All right, so after the feast was over, which was 7 days, how long is Passover?
7 days.
Remember, it was a feast. All right, and remember, it was a joyous time too during the feast time. It was a festival, basically. Okay, so what happens was when it was time to go back, all right, when it's time to go back, it says here that the child tarried behind in Jerusalem. In other words, they left him behind in Jerusalem. Somehow he's behind in Jerusalem. Go ahead.
And Joseph and his mother knew not of it.
Now, they didn't know that they had left him. Okay, go ahead.
But they, supposing him to have been in the company, went a day's journey, and they sought him among their kinfolks and acquaintance.
All right, so it's about a whole day they don't travel. And he wasn't with them. They thought he was with the crowd of people. Remember, they're just a child. And everybody, was with everybody. He thought it was family. So they sought for him within their kinsfolk. His own family members, cousins, uncles, aunts, all right? And acquaintances and friends. Like, where's Yahushua? Where's he at? All right, go ahead.
And when they found him not, they turned back again to Jerusalem, seeking him.
All right, so just imagine Mary and Joseph concerned. Like, man, you lose a child like that. So they had to go back. They can't leave him. They got to go back. All right, go ahead.
And it came to pass that after 3 days, they found him in the temple.
Just imagine that. 3 days on went by. They couldn't find him for 3 days. You know how worried they were? Looking for your child. You ever lose your child? And you can't find him? Like in a supermarket or something, you always hear those stories? All right, so for 3 days they couldn't find Yahushua. Then they found him in the temple. Go ahead.
Sitting in the midst of doctors, both hearing them and asking questions.
All right, so they both, they still, those doctors mean those were the ones that knew the law. All right, the Pharisees and so forth, who were sitting amongst them at 12 years old, talking about the law. All right, that's the kind of level he was on. Now, other kids are going on playing, he was sitting in the temple. He not on the swings or nothing. He's over there, not even riding a bike. He's over there inside the temple, talking to grown men, the lawyers and doctors, the Pharisees and Sadducees. He's talking to them about the law in the temple. Okay, that's kind of level he was on. He was different. Okay, and he said both hearing them, like listening to them, and asking them questions. All right, go ahead.
And all that heard him were astonished at his understanding and answers.
All right, so he's like amazed how at 12 years old he has so much knowledge and wisdom. Okay, keep in mind the New Testament is not even written yet. All this is Old Testament. All right, let's continue.
And when they saw him, they were amazed. And his mother said unto him, Son, why hast thou thus dealt with us?
All right, so go ahead.
Behold, thy father and I have sought thee sorrowing.
All right, so his mother says to him, this is Mary says to him, why hast thou thus dealt with us? He said, like, ask him, why? Tell us, that you was, well, not necessarily tell him that you was staying back, but why did you ask that you could stay back, or why you ain't come with us when we left? She asked him that. She said, thy father, which is Joseph, he said, sought thee sorrowing. They were looking for him. They were sorry. They couldn't find his son. She asked him, why you communicate with us? All right, go ahead.
And he said unto them, how is it that ye sought me? Was ye not that I must be about my father's business?
Now, I'm going to slow down to this. Now, you got to understand now just think about what a mother would say to a child. When your child answers you like that. Basically he's saying, don't you, when he says, was ye not that I must be about my father's business? In other words, he's saying, don't you know I must be about my father's business? Now, you can imagine what she said to him. Next, let's read that.
And they understood not the sayings which he spoke unto them.
Now, just imagine your son say something like that. You grab him, right? Grab him and say, boy, what you talking about? Your father right there. What do you mean your father? Your father right over there. What you talking about? You don't know, you not know what my father's business is. Just imagine that. Mary grabbed him. She grabbed him and said, boy, what you talking about? Your father right there. Might have hit him on the head or something. You never know.
You trying to get smart?
Yeah, what you talking about? He's saying, why you looking for me? Imagine your son said that. Why you looking for me? Don't you know about my father's business? I said, boy, get over here. Your father over here. What you talking about? All right, read that verse 50 again.
Verse 50. And they understood not the sayings which he spake unto them.
They understand what he's saying. Boy, what you talking about? I mean, your father right over there.
If you don't.
We've been looking for 3 days. Your father looking for you outside. We all outside looking for you. Angry. You angry at him. And he talking about, don't you know I'm about my father's business? So you know what he's talking about. All right, go ahead.
And he went down with them and came to Nazareth and was subject unto them.
Underline subject. So when they brought him back, he was subject unto them. They clapped closed ties on him. Like, listen, don't you go nowhere. You're going to watch everything. So he understood he had to go back. He's 12 years old. He had to go back and really, he can't leave his parents like that. That was a total embarrassment, basically. But that's kind of level he was on. He kind of say he was like a bad boy. You can say that. All right? He said that he was subject unto them now. Okay, go ahead.
But his mother kept all these sayings in her heart.
So in her heart is what? Mind, right? So now all of a sudden she started thinking what kind of kid she has.
Right.
And he said, well, you said, don't you know about my father's business? All those things started going to mind. Then she started remembering what they were saying in the temple. Then she remembered what the shepherd said.
Right.
Then she even go back to what her cousin Elizabeth said. And the angel. She started thinking all those things. Then she understood, okay, now I know what I'm dealing with. Now I know what I'm dealing with. Because now at 12 years old, he's almost like a grown man when he gets 13, basically. All right, so now she understands in her mind, okay, this son right here is different. I know he's different. Okay, go ahead.
And Yahushua increased in wisdom and stature, and in favor with Yahweh and man.
All right, so as he beyond 12, he started growing. All right, because he didn't start preaching to what age?
30.
30. So
30.
he died at 33. He only preached for 3 years. He died at 33. He started preaching at 30. So from the age of 12 to 30, he grew in stature, he grew in wisdom, and in favor with the Most High man. So he started following commandments, like as an adult, and then he had favor with, with everybody, with all men. Okay? So, I got about 20 minutes, right? So now, we understood through this whole chapter that he was born where? Outside, right? Outside. All right? Now, why do they say he's born in the winter? December's in the winter. December 25th is in the winter. All right? He wasn't born in the winter. Hanukkah's in the winter. Let's go to John the 10th chapter. This is what you're supposed to be celebrating, not Christmas. Christ is born in the springtime. John the 10th chapter, I'm sorry.
25.
John the 10th chapter.
Got 20 or 22?
Yeah, John 10th chapter. Let me get it. Yeah, John 10th chapter. And let's start to read the 22nd verse.
Read out of John chapter 10 verse 22. And it was in Jerusalem, the feast of dedication, and it was winter.
Underline that scripture. Feast of dedication is what, everybody?
Winter.
But what's
Hanukkah.
That's Hanukkah. Feast of dedication, Feast of lights, Hanukkah, all the same thing. And what season was it?
Winter.
Now, we celebrate Hanukkah right now, right? What season is it?
Winter. Like spring.
But they saying that Christ was born on December 25th. And where? In the winter. But when you read that whole book of Luke, 2nd chapter, it says shepherds abide in the field, right? It was springtime. So that's how you know that you're doing the right thing, if you didn't know the calendar. Hanukkah's in the winter. No such thing as Christmas. All right, he wasn't born on December 25th. Hanukkah. He was born during the springtime, like March, April. He was born. He would consider Aries. Yep, considered Aries in the springtime. So, and I'm gonna show you how deliberate it was. Everybody got their apocrypha? I'm gonna show you how deliberate. They even chose 25th date based on Hanukkah. Let me see. 1 second. If you don't have it, just write the scripture down. And go read it for yourself. It's B. Let's go to 1 Maccabees. Right? If you don't have it, just write the scripture down. 1 Maccabees. Fourth chapter. And the 52nd to the 51st verse. So when they made December 25th, they took the exact date of Hanukkah. All right? All right? Those who've got Pass this. Saquon. Pass this. The sisters back there. This is the last scripture. Let's go to 1 Maccabees. Get them time. Give them time. 1 Maccabees. Give them a few seconds. 1 Maccabees, the 4th chapter. And that's why this book here, they separate this book because they don't want you to have this book here. A lot of history in this. They don't want you knowing about this book here. Let's go to...
Ready?
Everybody got it? 1 Maccabees. 4th chapter. Let's begin at the 52nd verse.
Read out of 1 Maccabees chapter 4 verse 52. Now, on the 5th and 20th day of the 9th month, which is called the month Kaslu,
The 5 and 20th day. What day of the month is that?
25th.
25th. All right, continue.
in the 148th year, they rose up betimes in the morning
Go ahead.
and offered sacrifice according to the law upon the new altar of burnt offerings which they had made.
Go ahead.
Look at what time and what day the heathen had profaned it.
All right, which was on what day? The 25th. So they even made Christmas the 25th. They even used the exact number, but they used that in spite of Hanukkah. They used December 25th as the birth of Yahushua. So no such thing as Christmas, no such thing as Kwanzaa, none of that. All right, it's only Hanukkah in the wintertime. You see that? Yahushua was born in springtime. The scripture said that's why they was outside. You can't have a baby born outside if it's winter. You can't have it in wintertime. All right, makes sense? That's what all you could do is read the Bible. It's there. Just read it. Just read it. It's going to tell you. Yeah. You got questions?
I was just saying, basically, that's how they just want to confuse us. That's why I say main objective.
Yeah.
Keep us, you know.
And with the shepherds, it's at night too. So you got a baby at night in the wintertime. You know the temperature drops at night in the winter.
Right. You can't have a baby right there. And the only reason, you got the census. Right. All right. And it said a day's accomplished, so she had the baby right there outside. Make sense?
Okay.
All right. So what I do next time is when I go back, we're gonna read Matthew's 2nd chapter and show why she fled into Egypt. All right. And that's when they visit her. That she's in the house. And that when they came to visit her, when the wise men came, she was in the house by that time. But when he was born, only shepherds saw her. Those are the ones that was in the same country.
Good.
Because she wasn't in Galilee yet. Okay? Makes sense? All right. Yeah.
And when he received the gift, he wasn't newly born. He was already older.
He's about almost 2 years old.
Yeah. So he didn't receive the gifts when he was born. He received them like later on.
Yeah.
He was a young child.
He's about 2 years old. When the wise men came, he was about 2 years old. Close to 2.
Yeah.
Because you gotta remember, that's when you read that story, that's when Herod made it, he put like an APB out stating that kill all the kids under 2 years old. They didn't know exactly how old he was. To kill all the male descendants of the Jews that were under 2 years old. So he had to be around that age when they was looking for him. And that's why she fled into Egypt. Make sense? Just gotta read. Just gotta read. All right? Sisters, you got it? I hope it wasn't too long. Because with these scriptures, you gotta read the whole chapter to get the full understanding. That's why I didn't skip around too much if I didn't have to. Any more questions before I close it up? Any questions? All right, we clear? All right, so with that, we say shalom.
Shalom.